Good morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys are doing well today. If I were driving a Subaru, singamba mvuga Subaru nadala ng'erimu kutudumudumu ng'erinamu katabo ng'ekubamu ku masasi singandika baragala. There is no way I'm going to be driving this small car and then I drive like a madman. But Subarus, one reason I don't think I can manage a Subaru is I'd be driving like a madman. I'd be going very fast. And one thing I realized about Subarus is that the traffic officers seem to have a relationship with Subaru drivers. You see, the live broadcast where I was driving the Subaru, apart from that one time that the police officer stopped me, I was not stopped even once. You get? I can tell you, they did not stop my car. And the Subaru had no number plate in front. I don't know. I think somehow they have a relationship with police. There is no way I can explain what happened. If I were driving my Ractis and it had no front number plate, they definitely would have stopped me like 100 times. But I was driving this Subaru, no front number plate. It made a lot of noise. And like no one stopped me apart from that one time. And the reason why he stopped me was obvious. You get? They seem to have a relationship with Subaru drivers. I don't know what happens, but obvious. Like we talked with my son Aban, and we decided that every couple of months I should go get a turbocharged Subaru that has the Kerere, that is manual, and every couple of months, and we enjoy, because it's not every day that you enjoy that thing. Morad K Momo has renewed membership for 7 months. Thank you very much. Well, guys, but I hope you guys are doing well. We briefly talked about this some couple of weeks ago. I wanted us to talk about this. This guy repairs like helmets. I wanted us to talk about briefly about this. In detail, sorry, not briefly, in detail. The actual cost of owning a car in Uganda. There are so many things that we probably don't consider when we think of buying cars. Now, Bruce, you're a Subaru driver. I think I should not be driving. Like Mama Aban told me, you know what? This is not the car for you. Like the way I was driving, one, I was faster than normal. I was faster than usual. I'm normally, I can be fast, but with the Subaru, I was faster. I just enjoyed myself a lot. And the sound just makes it worse. Like the sound just makes you feel like you're not going anywhere, so you want to be faster. So Mama Ban told me this is not the car for you, but she said every couple of months you can bring it and enjoy and take it back. Yeah, but when I grow old, if I still like have the urge to drive a Subaru, I think I would buy one for driving once a month, which take a year. Not for every day, because for every day I think but I want us to talk about the actual cost of owning a car in Uganda, because there are things that we normally don't talk about, and we end up ignoring them. So majority of Ugandans think when you buy a car, they factor in three costs. They factor three costs that they think they will incur when they own a car. The first cost is engine service. I will go every couple of months and change my engine oil, and my car will be top notch. The next would be washing of the car, that my car has to be clean like other cars. The third cost that normally is factored in is the cost of fuel. So you walk to any random Ugandan and ask them what are the costs that they think should that a car would take. They'll tell you fuel, they'll tell you e-service, and they'll tell you washing the car. Normally, those are the costs that people think about. It's very hard, for example, it's very hard for you to find someone and they tell you, oh, you have to change air cleaners every like 3 months. Like someone will buy a car from the bond, and unless the car actually loses power, they will not check on the air cleaner. And the fact is, if they did not go to the petrol station or to the service station, and the service guys checked their air cleaner would stay unchecked. That's how bad people are to their cars. So people never factor in the cost of air cleaners, like ever. And so like my brother was telling me in the Corolla that when he goes to the mechanic in Wandegea, the mechanic normally gets out the air cleaner and says, hey, Chakoda. He looked at the air cleaners I'm changing. He says, you get it, but the health of your car, and especially the guys that are driving Valvematic vehicles, if you're driving a car that has Valvematic technology, I will tell you that that Valvematic, that part that is actually called the Valvematic, because you can put it off, just do VVTI. But that part that is called the Valvematic, that sensor there, yeah, if it dies, it will cost you up to 1 million shillings to replace. That's why now there are programmers that actually program your car to not have the Valvematic on. And that's why some people are discouraging you guys from buying Valvematic vehicles, because they probably know someone that had that car, did not take care of it very well, and they end up spending 1 million in replacing the Valvematic. But the Valvematic is very easy to keep healthy if you change air cleaners regularly. The Valvematic helps you save fuel. You get, I think, because for us as Ugandans, you can work for a young Atorwa day and you don't have to go to the hospital. You just, as long as you eat food and drink water, you're healthy. So we think the same thing happens with cars. It's quite different with cars. For a car to keep giving you a good experience, every couple of months, or if you live in a place like where I live, every month you need to change the air cleaner. I change my air cleaner maximum 2 months, because I drive dusty roads. I do 7 kilometers of dusty road every morning and 7 kilometers every evening. So there is no way I'm going to keep an air cleaner in my car for 5 months. Now, I know people that have driven cars for like 2 years in an air cleaner. We're going to do service. They take the air cleaner out. They air clean it a little and then they put it back. That's a very wrong thing. It's your car. You cannot tell me you buy a car at 30 million shillings, but changing the air cleaner is expensive for you. A car of 30, the air cleaner is 40, and you find that changing the air cleaner is very expensive. Or even your cabin air filter, because the cabin air filter, if for the people that use air conditioning, the cabin air filter influences the quality of air you breathe in when your AC is working. If the cabin air filter is blocked, one, your AC will not give you enough air, but also two, you'll not be getting fresh air. It will be full of dust and all that all the dust that you can get into the cabin. So you need to work on changing your cabin air filter, changing your, of course there are cars that don't have cabin air filters, but those are the old cars. Zina cabin air filter, and if you took it out, you realize that it's dirty. Now, for the people that have cars that still have AC but no cabin air filter, that means you need to change your air cleaner much more often than even these other cars, because the air you breathe comes straight from the air cleaner. So you need to change it quite more often. You need to change it more often than than the other guys. So we are talking about the actual cost, apart from the fuel. Yesterday I was doing a video on TikTok, and then I remembered how many people you can ask how much they spent on building their homes, and they would not know. They would just say a random figure, but they don't know. They don't actually know because they were not recording anything. They were not recording anything. It's the same thing when you ask someone that in your car, how many kilometers does a liter take you? And they have no idea. They have no idea because for them, wateka mu mutwaro, achimanyi gumujja wano, igumutwara mu kibuga n'akomawo. That's all they know. So it's very hard for them to know that their car is actually consuming poorly because they don't know how many kilometers a liter will take them. So for them, they have always been, they have never stopped to imagine that maybe I should be using like 5K to go to town and coming back. How many kilometers? Like maybe from here to town is like 3 kilometers and coming back is 3 kilometers, which makes 6, which means I should be using only 1 liter to go to town and coming back. But if I'm using 2 liters to go to town and coming back, then there's something wrong with the car. They never know. Like they don't even know until they have to go up country and their car is consuming, and they find someone that drives the same car. Say, oh, on your day maker, the way na. And that's when they realize that, oh, actually my car consumes. So for most Ugandans, as long as the car is moving, like it doesn't break down, they are okay. For most Ugandans, as long as the car is moving, they are fine. However, it has to be more than just the car moving. It has to be the car moving at efficient levels. That means it gives you good consumption and it gives you optimum performance. But you get what I'm saying. It needs to give you efficient performance, optimum performance and efficient fuel use. You get, and that cannot happen unless you actually know what it takes to maintain your car. Every year, once a year, guys, once a year. And this is something you can do at home by buying a plug spanner, by buying like a spanner which is 10. It's normally a 10. So if you have a 10, you can buy a Y or a T. If you have a 10 plug spanner, a spanner that is 10 millimeters, 10 millimeter spanner and 12 millimeter spanner, and then a plug spanner, you can basically change your plug, check your plugs, take your coils out and check your plugs. Look at them. If your plugs are not brown or clear, they are not burning fuel properly. And if they are not burning fuel properly, your car is going to be consuming or is already consuming a lot more fuel than it should be consuming. Once every year, check your plugs. The plugs will tell you how healthy your car is. The plugs will tell you if the coils are doing their job. The plugs will tell you if your air cleaner is doing doing a good job. The plugs will tell you if you have a leakage on the top cover seal or anywhere else. The plugs will tell you if your rings are worn out. So the plugs will tell you a lot about your car. But first of all, you need to know what is with the Mark II Musota. I bought new plugs from Sifao. Why did I buy new plugs? I checked the plugs and the plugs were not burning. They were not burning fuel efficiently. They were black. And when I realized that it was consuming like a 20K more. When I put new plugs in that car, the 20K went away. Because now the new plugs were burning properly. And sometimes your mechanics will actually cheat you, because before I checked that Mark II Musota plugs, the gear mechanic told me he checked them. He's an idiot. He's an idiot because he did not probably think I would check. There is no way the plugs in that car. He checked the plugs, he even replaced one coil. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. And I think because I gave him the car to take it, he thinks I would not find out. I found out. And he doesn't know that I found out. Which is why you guys, sometimes you need to know how to check certain things yourself. because a mechanic will keep cheating you when gatomanyi, and then you'll keep a dishonest mechanic working for you. Naye ngatomanyi it is dishonest, gorowoza, and you know they can smile. So I checked the plugs and I realized all 6 plugs, because the Mark II is a 6-cylinder vehicle. It means it has 6 cylinders, 6 plugs, 6 pistons. Yeah, 6 pistons. Now, normally when you get your plugs out and the tip is wet with oil, I'm talking about the tip. What if plug where your cheddar? If the tip is wet with oil, that might point to the fact that even the pistons have oil. If the pistons have oil, then that means the piston rings are worn out. Yeah. Now, the piston rings, for people that don't know, a piston goes up and down in an engine, but most of you guys have already seen those videos. The piston goes up and down, bringing pressure, and the plugs, the spark from the plug pushes the piston down below. The rings are put on the piston to stop the oil that is in the cylinder, the cylinder block down there from coming up. Because if the piston is wet, it cannot facilitate the burning, the combustion. So if the rings are worn out, the oil will come to the top of the piston, and then that will mean the car doesn't combust properly, and that's why when the piston rings are worn out, the car will start losing power. So if the tips of your plugs are wet with oil, then that means your rings might be worn out, and then probably replacing the rings or buying a new engine might be a solution. Now, if your plugs are wet with oil, plugs, then that might mean the top cover seal is worn out. It needs replacing, or probably placing properly. So you see how much the plugs can tell you about your car. Yeah. And then if you simply remove the coil, for example, you remove the coil and a motor kangate salamani, you remove one coil and the car is not losing power. It means it didn't have the power in the beginning. So either the coil has been faulty for a very long time, or the plugs are also, the plug in that particular area is bad, or the particular place doesn't actually work. So you need to know how to check your plug, the health of your plugs and coils. You yourself, especially if you're a man. For the ladies, maybe you don't have to, but if you do, it doesn't kill. There are things that we must learn how to check. On a Sunday, you can check these things yourself. You check these things yourself so that you avoid being cheated. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So, but all those are expenses. There are people that have driven cars for years and they have never changed plugs. Especially the people that live near their workplaces, because they rarely feel the consumption of their vehicles. Because they live near. People like Arthur have to make sure their cars are in tip-top condition, because slight elevation in the consumption of fuel, and then he will feel it in the pocket. So that's why I know most of these things. So you should, at least, if your car is very healthy, every 2 years you should change your plugs every 2 years. Now, if you have driven your car for 3 years and plugs, you should be working on that. And personally, I recommend that if you're going to buy plugs, you go to your dealer. You go to the authorized dealer of your vehicle. Plugs but me, Nzenga Arthur, in this car, nateka plugs za mitwalo asatu. Azali obe mitwalo ana. I could have gotten the same plugs for like 150 at Chiseka. You get it? And yes, Sefao pays VAT, but there is no way VAT is making 200,000. You get it? So there is a reason why Sefao, yes, they have overhead expenses and all that, but when you look at the plugs, and you look at the plugs I get from Sefao, there is a very big difference. There's a big difference. The mechanics themselves will tell you. And so if you can go, if you're driving a Nissan, you go to Motokea. If you're driving a Subaru, I think you have no option but Kampala Motors, or there's this other garage, I think it's Legacy Motors. Yeah, those are dealers. For Subaru, I'm thinking. If you're driving a Suzuki, then Sefao is the thing. IKEA, you go to a Kia dealership. You're driving a Mitsubishi, you go to Victoria Motors, and so on and so forth. Go to your dealer, because those guys, because they are brand dealers, they get the brand recommended parts. Now there are things you can let go of and buy anywhere else, like the air cleaners, cabin air filters, because the air cleaner at Tifa will cost you about 200,000 shillings for this particular car. Now, for me, a person that changes air cleaners every couple of weeks, buying an expensive air cleaner might not be something that I'm looking forward to. The other expense that probably people now, of course, now with the spreading of car information now, from the time that I started doing this, a lot of people have come out now to start doing it, including mechanics. So now there is information. Now people know that regardless of where you're buying the car, you might consider the cost of buying new tires. Now, new tires are something that we think about. We rarely think about buying new wheels. And by wheels, I mean rims. You might actually consider buying rims. You might have to consider buying rims. If you drive a car, let me see if I can find a car. You look at that Alphard, for example, yeah? You look at the wheels. Let me get a little bit closer. You look at that Alphard, you look at that Alphard or Jirava. You're not looking at the wheels. If you look at that Alphard, wait again, there is a PDJ, yeah, look at the driver's side. Why does it keep doing that? Look at the driver's side, the rim on the driver's side, the wheel on the driver's side, and look at the wheel on the passenger side. Do you see how they are moving? I don't know if you can see it, but the wheels, jitambura, jirimwaka zina. It's like the tires are dancing. Now, the problem is not the tires. The problem is the rims. That's why we do wheel balancing. And on Ugandan roads, we need to do wheel balancing. I would say every year. Wheel balancing is cheap. It's like 6K to 10K per tire, per wheel. Now, the reason why they do wheel balancing is to make sure that the rims are balanced, that they are not going to dance. Dancing. So you guys have seen the car. You're behind the car. Yeah? That's because the wheels are not balanced. And some wheels, the balancing, the rim is already dead. You just need to buy a new rim. If you have never seen this, I've been a subject to it. I was forced to buy new wheels because one of the wheels was not okay. Even wheel balancing could not fix it. If you look, the wheel on the passenger side dances more than the one on the driver's side. And this is what happens. When you go to do wheel balancing, the guys that have done wheel balancing will recommend. They will tell you, put this wheel behind on the passenger side. Put this wheel in front on the driver's side. They will recommend based on the health of the rims. So if you look at this Noah, you know what, Jiraba? Both the wheels are dancing. Both of them, it's a UBP, so it's considerably new. But the driver's side tire is dancing more. Even the passenger side is dancing, but the driver's side is dancing more, like it was sent to dance. Ogulaba. Guzina nyo nga bw'okiwulira ne bw'aba atambula mpola guzina. So that person might actually consider buying new rims if they have already done wheel balancing. So sometimes because every time they do wheel balancing, the unhealthy rims are put behind. Either if you find a car that has dancing rims in front and behind, then that means chagana. That's why if you went to organizations that have some good money, they can buy new rims every like 5 years. Why? Because it's also a danger. It affects, like if a rim is dancing, it will affect even the suspension. Egenda kubetta nezi bush. Egenda kube yonona emipiira. Aha, look at that Kia. You see that Kia? Iyo Kia omupiira gwa pass gwa driver gw'emabega ogulaba bwe guzina. N'ogw'emabega guzina. Naye ogwa driver ogw'emabega guzina nnyo. Wheel balancing. That's what wheel balancing does. Now, sometimes I want to say it's the tires, but waliwo emmoloka ze ntunuulira nga sisuubira kuba nti emipiira gyayo mikadde. Okitegeera. So that's the rim. And sometimes people don't buy new rims because the rims are expensive. Rims are likira mukakadde. And most of you guys want alloy rims. So you need to, and that's why normally when you buy a tire, where you have both tires, if they are professional, they recommend you do wheel balancing. Why? Because you're going to put tires, tebagala. Like if you want to tires, wheel balancing is free. Wheel balancing is, they don't want you to buy a tire and then your tire will unevenly wear out and then you'll say mpira jamwe mibi. So wheel balancing is free when you buy all 4 tires, I think, yeah? Or when you buy 2 tires and more. They do free wheel balancing for you. So that's a cost that people don't know, that sometimes might iranga weba mugamba kugenda gula rimaga moroka nkadde kati you can imagine this is a Kia probably bought at 0 mileage, you get it, but at this time already rim ezina okitegeera. So that might be something that you have to consider. My driver's license expired in that's 2024 Class B. I got it yesterday. And how long does it take? Yeah, it takes over how long? I knew that. I don't know why I don't have that in mind. Doesn't it take 3 years for your driver's license to be cancelled? I think it takes like 3 years. I think it takes like 3 years. So apart from fuel, engine service, tires, wheels, which are rims, there are things that people don't normally consider, and this normally hurts relationships. I think are very, very simple. I think are very, very simple. If you do long distances like Arthur, every like 4 months max, every like 4 months, get a mechanic to check out those things area once, the tire rods, the bushes, the mountings, once every 4 months, because you do long distances. And probably that's the reason why you don't even know Tichafa. So just get someone to check them out. That should be random. Actually, it should be that every time you take your car for service, yeah, every time you take your car for service, they check all those things. But because me, when I go to change oil, I actually go under the car and inspect everything. So the bulichura de chiri kumoroka yange chimanyi bulichura de chiri kumoroka yange chimanyi era bweberange vibrating la mu body manyo obulwadde we buva, because right now I know how to inspect those things, and I know ne manya ne sente mekaze neetaaga. So and it's very hard for me to actually drive someone's car nefunamuka kukanika. It's very hard. Bwentula mbutuuzi wano nga tutudde mu kajjaamu nga bw'okalaba wano nyinza obutafuna kyakukanika. Njivuge wano ngende nateete neme kuvaayo nga nkaye kakati kino kyetaaga okukola. It's also a hard thing. Every time I see border, my body starts shivering. Don't know why. Or I'm just allergic. I pray for all Ugandans that go border bananga this to. Some people just can't do away with borders. Like when you think about like mechanics, mechanics need borders to be able to reach places where their customers' cars have broken from. Like if your car breaks down and you call a mechanic, he needs to come to you. And for that mechanic to come to you, you might not even be able to cover the cost of fuel in his car if he has one. So he has to take a boarder to come to you. So some people, I find that because of the economy, they have no option but to actually take boarders. Mechanics, delivery guys, there's just businesses that dictate that people use boarders. Omwana oyo bano abagaba looni muyite staki ate kuzibwe namba agenda kuwa ya office jakuba nawe tofunamu takufuna nga bali oli owa Joshua yangamba kyagguka guys. Like the broadcast, I hadn't even noticed. Before I continue with these things that you guys need to work on, give me at least 45 likes. You get to get them mass. At least 45 likes. You guys are 53 and you have only 36 likes. Give me 45 likes at least. Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much for the likes, guys. Continue liking. So we are talking about the actual cost. Now, wheel balancing is like 6k to 10k. Buying rims is $1 million shillings. Service and above. For me, I normally use about 200 and something for my car, 260, I think. I put synthetic oil. We have talked about plugs. I recently bought plugs for the Mark II Musota, 130 from Sifao. The coils for all our cars normally cost between 70 Japan used, 70 and 100,000 per coil. Air cleaners, I normally buy them between 15 to 25, but some of you guys will buy them 30 to 45 or 50. Cabin air filters, the same. Those are the costs. So the other thing that we have never, ever done, some of you don't even know that it exists. You guys never flush out your radiator. So you need to do a coolant flush at least kalinga once a year, for you to take out all the dirt that might be, and then replace the coolant with new coolant. Now, I recommend the red coolant, and I recommend you buy coolant from big fuel service stations. Why? Coolant has been duplicated as well. Abamba koleda gali ensansa. Okitegeera. Kigoze stand kati nzire mu kutandikira wasimanyi watu. So abantu abamba koleda gali ensansa, they put food color in water and sell it to you as coolant. You don't want to experience that, so you want to buy your coolant from a reputable service station. So I personally, if you do long distances like Arthur, because personally I put oil that goes for 100,000 kilometers, and I service my car every like 4 months. So I do 100,000 kilometers, like, I mean 10,000, not 100, 10,000. I do about 10,000 every 4 months. That means ntambule kilometer emitwalo 3 buli mwaka. Okitegeera. So it means every 30,000 I can flush my coolant. Sometimes more, depending on where I go. If wengatako bino trip and that tugenze kuzika pichi and all that, you get. And then for the guys that drive rear wheel drive vehicles and 4-wheel drives, you guys normally ignore changing your diff oil or fluid. Abera CC again with diff. Sometimes you guys ignore that. Your diff, until it starts making noise, woo, you guys don't even look at it. You guys don't even look at the diff. You should be looking at the diff. Diff ojiraba olengere yo Nissan Patrol. If you look under the Nissan Patrol, there's that thing that looks like a pot that is down there. That's the diff. The Alphard has a diff. All-wheel drive cars, 4-wheel drive cars have differentials, and rear-wheel drive vehicles have differentials. So you need to also look at that always. Probably the other thing that you don't normally look at, guys, is exhaust leak. You need to for the guys that have driven in Maram roads, you know that those people in the villages sometimes put their own humps, dangerous humps for the cars. If you live in areas that have those funny humps, you need to like inspect your car for exhaust leaks, because once your car has an exhaust leak, it's going to consume more fuel. Omuntu ovuga oti Alphard nga tomanyi mmotoka ondija kulubula n'abantu oti Alphard nga tomanyi mmotoka lasi tusoka n'otandikira mu vits. So you want to check for exhaust leaks. So budget and you need to do it yourself first. I tell you, when they are working on those exhaust leaks, you need to be there. Otherwise, we're going to come back to catalytic converter. And when your catalytic converter goes, it will be up to say we're going to turn the car, take a programming, catalytic converter and all that, and you don't want to go there. So probably the one thing that I personally have decided to ignore unless I have a leakage is the gearbox or transmission fluid. I'm not going to touch it. I've seen way too many people that touch the transmission and ended up buying a new transmission altogether. That now I'm convinced that in Uganda for now, transmission to say so you are. Let's just keep driving. When you get a leakage, then that's when God has said, now you have to service it. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. And I've seen way too many mechanics spoil people's cars when their intention was actually good and the cars get spoiled. I've seen that too many times. So I choose personally to ignore the gearbox until maybe I get a leakage or until it slips, and then I'm just trying to save it, or maybe just buy a new gearbox. So the transmission is also one thing that you guys normally ignore to service as a cost, and the transmission is more expensive to service than the engine. And then the other thing, you guys, the other thing that you need to pay attention to is the rust on your vehicle. Rust spreads. Rust eringa biguna. The rust will start from one small place and then it will spread out all throughout your car. That's why if you can avoid buying a car that has rust, leave it. Especially you guys that buy cars from the bond. Find a way of doing rust control. Those that know what to do, they have chemicals they will put on your car to stop the rust at a certain area after cleaning it, and then afterwards they will paint or they will spray. But if you can avoid overall buying a car that is either rusted or has been rusted, I shared the story of us inspecting a Nua and we saw that it had been rusted. The car had been rusted and they sprayed it black. Now they did not stop the rust, they just sprayed black for it to look like it was new. How to identify the rust, they would know that, you know what, this rust is there and it's still going to spread. Yiyo STI ogirabye kati otamanyi na kuvuga monze sengandi ku Bombo Road. That's why Subaru is not just not mine. Si moroka yange. Kaniza yokerere yo nganjulire yo ngamvugire mabega wachiku. Life is mujja kumviranga kirayika I would even put a speaker to amplify the sound. Or it's one of those electric cars that just have the exhaust pipes for decoration, and then they have speakers down there that imitate the sound of exhaust. So you guys get where we're going. So the actual cost of maintaining a car, involves some of those things. Let me go through a couple of more, then to gatemo muntu aberenga manje, especially the guys that have bought car, because I'm sure some of you guys have already seen which things you have been ignoring to maintain. This obvious thing. Normally I would say paint maintenance, but look at the lights of this Nua. Look at that light. Now look at that light. That's something that you guys ignore. You think you're just going to be driving in an organized environment. The car is in bad condition because of those lights. That's a cost that you should count. If your lights start looking like that, you buy new lights. It should not even be an option. Normally you guys move for bumper scratch, but of course now this person way to be fan. You need to scratch chemanyina amatalago maso galabika bubi. Iteko kuba nokubagana ekubagana. Dozo kira bakati you can look. Normally when I go to inspect a car, nensange moroka nge amatala gafanana gati. Nensange moroka amatala gafanana gati. Because normally amatala game abega mu moroka zonna gara isi. It's the front lights that are expensive, but the rear ones are cheap to replace. For example, Italia field area mabega lya mitwalo bakumi n'etaano nengeri omumaso lyakakadde, so you get what fanero geresa amaanyi. Fanero giraba, fanero eresa amaanyi, fanero eresa amaanyi. Ate bagezi they are putting on black, otherwise if they were putting on red they will all be in Chitalia. So there are those blemishes that you guys need to take care of, like replacing headlamps when they are worn out, replacing bulbs when they are blown, and bulbs these days, especially for the headlamps, they are quite expensive. Like a pair would be 150, 250,000 depending on how good it lights. So what other costs do we normally ignore in our cars? You once in a while flash your brake fluid, especially if you look at the brake fluid The place where you put the brake fluid, the kadomona, the kajerican of brake. Guys, I don't know how to call that thing, but that place where you put brake fluid, if you look at the brake fluid and it's dirty, probably it's time for you to flush it, because if you don't flush it, that brake fluid itself is going to kill the brake cylinder. It might even kill the servo because it will struggle. So flush your brake fluid every time you notice that it's dirty. They opened all the pipes, and the brake fluid actually goes out, or they can flush it from the cylinder itself. Yeah, so that you flush that and then you put new brake fluid. That way you can keep your braking system healthy. Then no choose a brake bantu bangi. Let's change the brakes. And I find that you people think brakes should be cheap. Brakes are not cheap. Like, there is a mechanic that shared with me. One of his Chigege customers decided that the brakes they were putting, which were costing 60,000, were very expensive. So the owner of the Chigege decided that they will go and put the brakes of 30. The brakes of 30 za Chigege zebaita kabawo. They are made from here, but bazitekesaako glue gum. And it's like a wooden brake. Now, those wooden brakes not only spoil the rotors, but they also fall off because when there is heat generated there, the glue lets go and breaks is. But now some car owners don't know that, so they think the expensive brakes are being cheated. So this customer of his that decides to go and put kabawo brakes in azigwa. Ngagamba nange bwezagwa nange namucharginga premium kulu namucharginga na nnyo because yali asaze okuteekanga kabaawo kuki brakes ze kumoroka ye okitegeera. So kabaawo is bad. Sometimes you want to take shortcuts, but you need to remember that the braking system is actually holding your life together when you're driving. You know that. How healthy your braking system is stands between you and knocking the car in front of you, stands between you and heading into a ditch. So you actually want to put good brakes on your car. You want to put good brakes on your car. You want to put the right brake fluid to take we would be putting .3. .3 is not good brake fluid. .3 is not good brake fluid. You need to put like .4. Right now, .4 is like the replacement of .3. Which take it, I'll probably be giving you the difference. But .4 is what you should be putting in your car. .3 never pitching that .3 at master brake cylinders, yeah. You don't know Peter. But .4 is a little bit safer for your car. So don't try to do shortcuts with your car. Any shortcut you take is going to either disturb you in your pockets later, or you might actually lose your life. Like if you put the wrong oil in your car, you might end up buying a new engine. Or if you put the wrong oil in your car, you might end up suffering. Okay. Let me put this person in timeout. Huh? Yeah. So you guys remember I talked about tire rotation. You remember that? We talked about tire rotation, and tire rotation, like I said, is you once in a while changing your front tires and putting them behind, the tires on the right, putting them on the left, and stuff like that. Why do we do that? And for most Ugandans, they find that it's unnecessary, because if the front tires get worn out, I buy 2 tires. It's one way for them. They think it's one way to save money. But me, I would rather change 4 tires at once. Like now with this car, when these tires get worn out, I'm putting the stock tires. They are expensive, but I find that stock tires will help the car save fuel. Which together. So you want to put the stock tires. The other thing that you guys ignore normally is the battery. You guys service your batteries. Service your batteries. It's probably the reason why you guys are buying maintenance-free batteries, because then you don't have to maintain your battery. Me, I'm no longer buying maintenance-free batteries because the maintenance-free batteries, if I will be, the batteries that have acid in them, you can actually maintain it over time. But the maintenance-free battery give you the illusion that you just have to drive. But most maintenance-free batteries are meant to last for a year. But you can drive the acid battery for close to 4 years if you keep maintaining it. So me, I'm no longer buying maintenance-free batteries. But if you're a lazy person in terms of maintenance, you can go ahead and buy yourself a maintenance-free battery. But don't ignore that. You guys already know that diesel vehicles, in diesel vehicles, they service the injectors. Yeah, they service the injectors to make sure that the fuel system is clean. And if they don't service the injectors, then the fuel system might get clogged and the car will lose performance. Now, with petrol cars, we normally don't do that. This is something that we should also do, especially if you take fuel from just anywhere. If you don't take fuel from just any petrol station and go after from the petrol stations that have clean fuel, then maybe, and just then maybe, you might not need to check for clogged nozzles, clogged nozzles. But the other thing that will probably clog your nozzles is you taking small amounts of fuel every day. The dirt in the fuel tank actually goes up, and then it can clog your entire system. So if your car is constantly losing power, that's why you find that some people end up having to change their entire nozzle set. Timing belts for the cars that have timing belts, you might want to change that before it breaks. Like abantu abalina engine is beams like the Mark II Musota, Mark II Grand, Alteza. You might want to change your this is a projector. Chief, morning. That's a projector. May I have a look? Just briefly. It's a short throw. Is it a short throw projector? Yeah, carry, no problem. Some people are considering it's a huge projector. Like, I use projectors in my performances, yeah, on stage. And I have a projector right now. It's short throw, but I'm looking for something that is even better. And normally short throw projectors are huge. These are the projectors that are used in cinemas. Like if you went to the cinema at Acacia Mall, the projectors that are used there are short throw projectors. So just saw one, the screen everyone, and it gives you huge picture. Yeah, so those are short throw projectors, and they are nice. I think those are the things that I thought we needed to work on. Now, what's the actual cost of actually owning a car? The biggest cost that we have as Ugandans is fuel. Definitely fuel. On average, a Ugandan that drives their car every day, for most Ugandans, they live at least 10 kilometers away from their home. That means they spend they drive for about 20 kilometers a day. That means they will spend on average 10,000 on fuel. They spend 300,000 a month on fuel. That is the drive to work and back home, to work and back home, to work and back home. Now, these other trips that they take to the village, blah, 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 they end up spending like 500K on fuel. On maintenance, every couple of months, you'll find that people normally spend about another 500,000 on service of their vehicles, service, engine oil, air filter, plugs, and all those things. That's if the car doesn't break down. That's already like, if they spend 500,000 every month on fuel, that means they spend about 6 million a year on fuel. And then they spend this other car 500, that means 7 million. That's if the car does not actually break down at all. Now, Bogatako brakes in Chibagenda Kuba, choose brakes. Umbadia brakes in Amitwarunga, let's say 100,000, that's 150 plus labor. And that's if the car does not break down at all. And you drive like 20 kilometers daily. Now, for anybody that does beyond 20 kilometers a day, the cost might go upwards to 20 million a year spending on a car. Now, most people don't even document this. They don't even know. I took fuel the other day and I have my receipt here. I have receipts. Every time I take fuel, I take my receipts and I have them. Well, I want to make sure that I know what I have to do to make the money that I'm spending. You get. That's why me, I know how much I spend on my car. You get. And my car travel 100 kilometers minimum daily. Like today now, I'm doing a class. After the class, I'm helping someone close to me go choose a car. After helping someone close to me choose a car, a friend of mine has been sick for some time, so I'm going to go check on them. And then after checking on them, then I'll come back to office. After office, then I'll go pick my kids. You get. Between the time I came from home and the time I go back home, I will have done about 120 kilometers. 120 kilometers. Which there is no way I spend the same amount like the person that does 20 kilometers a day. Now, there are people that are very for themselves. Like, especially the guys that where all their families are in the village. Now, such people, they can come to work, go back home, come to work, go back home, come to work, go back home. That person they are spending is actually very, very limited. They're about spending a cent and don't know friends to check on, family to work with, right? They spend less. And also the people that don't use their cars to, like me, I use my car for inspection. On average, I do an inspection a week. And if I do an inspection a week, during the inspections, I normally travel about 50 kilometers during the inspections alone in one day. 50. Now, I can park like this. If I have people in my car, I don't put my windows down. My car will be running. That's fuel that is running. That is service that has to be done sooner than it would have to be done. So on average, Ugandans spend like 10 million a year. On average, 10 million a year on keeping their cars on the road. But there are those that spend upwards of 30 million a year. That includes the fuel, maintenance, right? And that's if a car does not get an accident and a car does not break down at all. You do the normal regular maintenance. Because if a mechanic comes on the road, then that's more money. If you have to put a car and break down or a car carrier, that's more money. You get. But if you don't have to do that, people spend between 10 to 30 million shillings a year on their cars. So there is no person, and there is no person that has a car that is actually poor. And the thing that happens is that people that have old cars spend more on their cars than the people that have new cars. However, the people that have new cars spent a huge initial investment on their cars. So the people that have old cars might spend a lot of money, but they never actually get to the money that the people that bought new cars actually spent on their cars. That's a conversation that I've had multiple times. I'll have it again sometime later, so just to make sure that you guys don't forget it. Muyombia Maka, Mukama Godwin, Lawrence Omule, Louis, Ronald Muchwa, Fahad Kemis, George Senkobuke, John's in for VIP, Paul Sema VIP, Divine Tours and Travel Kutesa, David Drama Charity Organization, Gilbert Amanya, Morad Kemomo Kutesa. You inbox me. Morad K Momo VIP, thank you for renewing for 7 months. Chigundu Chiwanuka, Tumusime Bruce, Henry Modern Youth Council, Patrick Asiku, Ronald Muchwa Bambi, Abafide Mukabengi Babi Mukama Baumuze Minembe, King Daniels, Aijuka Blair, George Bob, Igumba Jonathan, Kakoza Javira. Asha Daniel George Nahabwe, Gilbert Amanya. It takes 2 years, yeah. Starch events. $15 million, you'll get a Subaru, a turbocharged Subaru. Yeah, but you'll get the basic spec, yeah. You'll not get like something that has Irungo. You'll get the basic turbocharged vehicle that someone is probably tired of, yeah. Davis Muhwezi, Molindo Gonzaga, Joseph Bari Kudembe, Derek Lule, Chigozi Stanley, Itoba Ivan, Naruswata Sharifa. Let me answer those questions tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow is question Friday. You can ask all those questions. Lawrence Omure, Harrison Mohindo. I had metallic brake pads, but somehow the mechanic convinced me to use Kabao in a rectus, claiming metallic ones are eating through the brake rotors. It's making noise. The rotors get worn out either way, Harrison. Whether you use Kabao or not, the rotors are meant. That's why we change the rotors after some time. The rotors are meant to get worn out. Kabao you. It's not very good, but you can use Kabao if it's because it's cheaper, yeah. It probably wears out your brake rotors much slower than the metallic ones, but the Kabao is not as safe. Then the brakes are in good deco, so I know how dangerous it can be for a brakes to fall off. Nelly Mask. Igumba, stock tires are the tires that come with the car. They come with the stock of the vehicles. When they make a stock of vehicles, the tires that come with that car, those are what I call stock tires. Carota Uganda, Mr. Cometa UG VIP. I have learned a lot. I think maintaining a big bike is more expensive than so many cars. Are you sure? Every car, both petrol and diesel, need injector maintenance, but don't think that our mechanics in UG have the right machines. Exactly, they don't. That's why when the nozzles actually like start getting worn out, they will tell you to just buy new nozzles. Yusuf Minaj, Nachino Kanchibagambe, the 10 million a year when the car is still running so good and in good shape, not a person who has bought a Moroka Yevis. Exactly, Stephen Omoria. Thank you, guys. How do I renew membership? You just pay the way you paid. Harrison Muhindo, what are the stock sizes for the practice? For mine is 175 stroke 60 R16, but now I have 205. So that explains if you have bigger tires on your car and your car is not consuming the way it was consuming before, it's because you changed the tire size, guys. It's 16, but the other figures also matter. It's 175/60. 175/60. The rim size is 16, guys. Thank you very much for being part of the broadcast. Amari Mukamoli, I don't take it for granted. Thank you very much for being in the Kamoli there. The people that are watching this video later on in the day, later on in the week, I don't take it for granted. Thank you very much. The people that tell people about this channel, thank you very much. The people that recommend me for pre-purchase inspection car trackers, thank you very much. Don't forget, I do pre-purchase inspection in case you're going to buy a car and you want someone to help you not get cheated or help you make the right choice. I'm your guardian angel. I come with a mechanic and together we make sure that you get the best car for your budget. I charge a small fee, 450,000. That money covers a full day of inspection in the Kampala Central Business District. You come with the second person, the third person, you pay an extra 50K for them, and we go and look for your car. Your job then is to make sure you just say njagala si jagala enyumidde tenyumidde. My job is to make sure that you don't kwagala the wrong car. I wish you a very lovely day. I'll see you tomorrow on Question Friday. Ciao.